I slipped into the booth across from one of my dearest friends, and quickly we went deep into conversation. We began sharing back and forth all the things that were weighing us down, and at one point she explained how discouraged she was feeling. She had been praying faithfully for years for the healing of a family member, and God had not answered her prayer the way she had hoped. I had prayed alongside her for years, and she was right. It seemed like we had prayed forever for things to turn around, with no changes in sight. I shared similar discouragement. It had been 1.5 years since my husband said he was leaving, and I had been praying and fasting over the restoration of my marriage again. God did not do what I had hoped during that time of intense prayer, and worse, it felt like my problems were multiplying daily. We both sat there defeated as we wondered, why is God not answering our prayers? We love God and serve Him. We love others and serve them. We have hearts to obey the Lord, but in these areas of our lives, we were met with silence from God. Have you been there? Perhaps you are single, and you have prayed for years for a godly man to come into your life, and there is no knight in shining armor in sight. Or maybe you married your knight in shining armor, but now your marriage is more difficult than you ever imagined, and you are praying your husband changes, but he is not changing. Perhaps you long for children and have prayed for years over your infertility with no answers. Or you have a wayward child and you are praying for them to turn their life around. Perhaps you suffer with a chronic illness and you're praying for relief. Or maybe you have struggled financially and you have prayed for years for the Lord to provide breathing room in your budget, but you're still living month to month or worse, a month behind. Push out the darkness. When we have been praying for long periods of time and God does not seem to be answering, this is when the darkness presses in. The enemy begins to whisper lies to us, inviting us to think that perhaps God does not even hear our prayers or God does not love us. The enemy wants you to feel alone and to stop praying. He wants you to give up. He wants to keep you stuck in his darkness and confusion. He wants you to lose your faith and joy. Don't believe his lies. I have journals full of prayers I prayed during my separation with my husband. At the time, it felt like none of them were being answered, and yet now, I can reread my journals many years later and clearly see the hand of God in my life. I see that God answered some of my prayers with a clear no. And to be honest, I don't like to be told no. But I also see how when I cried out to God and said, Lord, help me, Lord, sustain me, Lord, please provide, Lord, give me wisdom, Lord, protect my children, and Lord, give me the strength for another day, God heard my cries. Relief was not always immediate. I'll write more about that in coming chapters. But in time, the Lord did help me. He did sustain me. He did provide. He did give me the wisdom I needed. He did protect my children. And He did give me the strength to stand another day. So let me assure you, God hears your prayers.